From seemingly the beginning of time, many great clubs have taken the field to Major League Baseball. Many legends on these teams have received immortality and godlike statuses. From the 1927 Murderers Row Yankees to the 1966 Orioles, all the way to the 98 Yankees that played like they hacked the system completely, it's easy to forget about these guys. But why did they get swept under the rug? They were even sold and relocated after winning it all, so it seems fitting that they remain underrated. They are perhaps the most underappreciated team in the history of the game. The 1957 Milwaukee Braves were the most overlooked and quite possibly the best team in baseball history. Why were these guys so good though? They didn't win 116 games like the '01 Mariners. They didn't have the glam and glitz of the '50s Yankees, or even the marketability of the '70s A's. What they did have was the right guys on the right team at the right time. Sometimes that recipe has greatness baked right into it. The '57 Braves were never under 500 the entire season. Led by manager Fred Haney, these Braves seem to play hard no matter what setting you put them in. Most players in baseball seem to favor a good night's sleep in their own bed. Isn't it easier to perform better the next day when you do that? Not these Braves. They finished the season as the National League pennant winner with a record of 95-59, but played better on the road the entire season. That road magic translated into a 50-27 record away from Milwaukee's County Stadium, and a 45-32 record while playing in it. Their longest losing streak of that season? 3 games. They finished 8 games above the second place Cardinals, which set up a meeting against Goliath in pinstripes, the New York Yankees. Equipped with 4 future Hall of Famers, the Yankees had dominated the sport, winning 13 of the last 20 World Series. During that stretch, they also won a record 5 straight World Championships from 1949 to 1953. The Braves were the undisputed underdogs going in, featuring a lineup of Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Bill Skowron, Elston Howard, and Rookie of the Year Tony Kubek. These Bombers were loaded. Not to mention Hall of Fame hurler Whitey Ford, among other great pitchers such as Don Larson, Tom Sturdivant, and Bobby Turley. The Braves did have this one guy though. Maybe you've heard of him. A 23-year-old outfielder who, only is the all-time leader in RBIs and total bases in baseball history. Before he was rudely robbed of his home run crown by a juicing lunatic, Hank Aaron was busy doing something Barry Bonds never did, winning a World Series. In 1957, Hank Aaron won the National League MVP award and firmly cemented himself as one of the best players ever. In '57, he led the league in runs, home runs, RBIs, and total bases. The Braves also had a young phenom by the name of Eddie Matthews, who put together his own torrid season. The future Hall of Famer batted .292, smashed 32 home runs, and drove in 94 while being named to the All-Star team. The duo of Aaron and Matthews put the Braves on their back as they met up with the mighty Yankees. So, here we are. It's October 10th, 1957. Game 7 of the World Series in the Bronx. Besides Game 3, where the Yankees blew out the Braves 12-3, each game has been decided by 2 runs or less. In Game 6, Yankees pitcher Bob Turley pitched a gem. He pitched a complete game, 4-hitter, giving up only 2 runs. Instead of giving the ball to their ace and Cy Young Award winner Warren Spahn, the Braves named Lou Burdette as the Game 7 starter. Spahn pitched a 10-inning complete game in Game 4 as the Braves won 7-5. So, why didn't Spahn start Game 7? Well, he was hit with the Asian flu and was way too sick to pitch. Even more incredible is that Lou Burdette also pitched a complete game in Game 5 and now is set to start Game 7 after only 2 days rest. Game 7 begins. Lou Burdette goes out in front of Yankee Stadium in front of perhaps the most intimidating audience, and he makes history. He pitches his 3rd complete game of the World Series, and for the 2nd time, it's a shutout. Braves win 5-0 and capture the World Series title. Burdette becomes only the 8th pitcher in history to win 3 games in a World Series and wins the series MVP. Since 1957, only 5 more 3-game winners will emerge in World Series history. Hank Aaron could have easily won the MVP too. He batted .393 with 3 homers, 7 RBIs, and a 1.2 OPS. Despite being the only team in the modern era to never have a losing record, the Milwaukee Braves moved to Atlanta in 1966. The 57 Braves still have a place in Wisconsinites' hearts to this day. In his twilight years, Hank Aaron returned to Milwaukee to play his final 2 seasons with the Brewers, retiring where he started his career. So what makes the 1957 Milwaukee Braves perhaps the best team to ever take the field? Bill James, the creator of sabermetrics and a stat called win shares, among his many others, has been trying to put a value on players for years. Win shares is a way to credit a player for what they do hitting-wise, fielding-wise, and pitching-wise. The more contributions a player makes to the team's success, the more out of the win share pot that player gets credit for. Using win shares and something called established value, which mathematically puts a value on each 4-year segment of a player's career based on their win shares, Bill James created a top 100 list of the best baseball players of all time. Note that no current players are on this list that I'm using. For my argument, I'm going to only focus on players within the top 40. The 1957 Braves and 1929 Philadelphia A's are the only 2 teams in MLB history with 3 players within Bill James's top 40 of all time list. Even the 1927 Yankees have only 2 players on the top 40. Hank Aaron sits at number 12, Eddie Matthews comes in at number 34, and Warren Spahn is at number 36. The 57 Braves were also the first team ever to have an MVP and Cy Young Award winner on the same team at the same time. Although they aren't as recognized as other champions from the past, the 57 Braves rank number 1 in my book. Many might disagree, but that's the fun thing about baseball and all sports in general. It's all subjective. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. I want to hear from you now. Who is the most underrated, overlooked team of all time? Doesn't have to be baseball either. Go ahead and put your comments down below, and remember to put on one of these gloves in order to put on one of these later on. Stay safe.